Everyone sees the games, but not everyone sees the people behind it. Behind every team, every event, every moment, there's a career making it happen. Careers Behind the Game takes you inside the sports industry with the people actually doing the jobs. There is no gatekeeping, there is no fluff, just real stories and real advice. If you want to break into sports, this is where you start. Careers Behind the Game, hosted by Jeremy Hadler, streaming right now. Welcome to Careers Behind the Game, where we break down real careers and real stories from across the sports industry. I'm your host, Jeremy Hadler, and today we are joined by Jacob Shifflett, who is experienced working through all of athletic events through different sports and event operations, and has had experiences with the PIAA and working with them. But today, we're talking about the true impact of high school sports, behind the scenes where the people never know what's going on, and how athletics shapes leadership and culture where the sports still matter and how much it's impacted the community so much today. So I welcome Jacob Shifflett.
Thank you.
And Jacob, for people who might not know your story yet, where did your interest in sports first begin?
So I started sports very late. My freshman year of high school, started football, wrestling, and track. Reason being, my science teacher in 8th grade said colleges don't just look at academics. So I'm like, all right, I'll just join a sport. And I joined 3 of them in my first year. The second year, my sophomore year, I was really interested in the logistics sides. Who was on what field at this time? I remember getting into a little argument with my football coach saying, hey, we're not supposed to have this field right now. Soccer's supposed to be here. And he's like, oh, that's soccer. That doesn't matter. The athletic director and athletic trainer came out and told him 15 minutes later, hey, you have to move. And I started laughing. So from that, I started, like you said, started going to everything. Soccer games, field hockey games, volleyball games, basketball games, whatever sports that my high school offered, I went. And it wasn't even just home. It was away stuff. Because of that, I made so many friends through that. And after the games, I'd stick around, talk to them, and I'd be like, hey, go hang out with your family because your family's coming to see you play. And some of them said, well, they didn't come. So I started to realize like I was I'm not trying to be selfish when I say this, but it seemed like I was their only support system. From there, I just kept getting involved with going and supporting. Freshman year of college up at York, we had an assignment where we had interview someone in the field we wanted to get into. And from there, it was the athletic director at Fairfield. He told me that he does a lot of the grunt work. And from there, I started helping out at Fairfield, game help, all the way to being a co-athletic director right now.
I think a lot of people forget how much preparation goes into making an athletic event successful. Behind the scenes, fans don't know what's happening on the field. They're just focused on the product on the field, whereas you are focused on off the field product, but also on the field product as well.
It depends on the sport, but yeah, take track, for example. I just got done setting up a track meet. That's probably, I think, the hardest one to prepare for because you need to get all the help. And if you don't have enough people to help, it can be rough. So you need 6 timers. Mm-hmm. You need 2 people to measure for long jump, 2 people to measure for triple jump. Well, the same 2 people. You need 2 people to measure the discus throw, and then 2 people to measure the shot put throw. So you need all those people. You need to get help. In a school, you can ask teachers and all, but a lot of the time, they just want to go home, which is valid. They have families. They don't want to be there any longer than they've been. And then you got to print out the heat sheets, make sure those are all lined up and good to go. So there's a lot that goes into setting that up, especially if you have a staff appreciation night, a senior appreciation night. Like, there is a lot that people don't realize, along with trying to schedule the event, making sure that we have the other teams going to be here, making sure that the game is even scheduled, making sure we have the officials.
Awesome. Now let's talk about the bigger picture of high school sports. What lessons do high school sports teach students that they can't always learn in the classroom like you did when you were playing sports in high school?
That's a good question. What sports taught me is, because I was on, like I said, football, wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. Those 2 were team sports. Those taught me a lot of family doesn't have to be blood, right? That's the biggest one when it comes to those 2. It doesn't have to be blood. I found family in my wrestling team and my football team, people I could rely on. It taught me responsibility because when you do a sport, you're there to do it. You want to do it. So you're going to put more effort in, and you're going to take those life lessons of responsibility, making sure that you're up on time to go to that 8 o'clock practice in the morning, making sure that you have all of your stuff that you need for that practice. I feel like that family bond, the responsibility, and just the work ethic too.
Yeah.
Like you can't just show, and I say this, some places it's different, but truly, if you have 30, 40 people on a football team, you can't just show up and expect that you're going to play. You got to put the work in. Or if you are QB1 and you haven't shown up all summer long, whereas QB2 and 3 have been there all summer working, putting the work in, you can't expect to be playing that first Friday night game against your rival.
Definitely. And going off of that, how important are sports in helping students build confidence, discipline, and leadership skills?
So the discipline's probably the best one I think of. We're always told discipline with the snap count. Like, don't jump off sides, as in make sure you're paying attention. You're prepared, right? Confidence. Over time, you're going into a sport your first year, you might not have your confidence with you, right? It might not be there. It takes time. It takes practice. Having a good environment, having a good coach, having a good team atmosphere, someone to build you up. Take track, for example, right? We're never yelling at, we're never trying to beat someone up mentally and emotionally because they're slow. It's not the point, right? I was always getting last in the mile, right? I just athletically was not there, but I was still having people cheer for me, yell for me, like building the confidence. That's where that confidence comes in. So leadership skills, right? Leadership, some people don't truly understand this concept. The ones that are on the outside of all of this. You don't have to be loud and flamboyant to be a leader. You can be quiet and still show your leadership skills. Have people look up to you, right? It takes time into building that. Say a sophomore is going to look up to that senior. He's going to learn and he's going to get those skills that he needs so that he can then use those skills for the classes beneath him that are coming up.
Totally agree. And what role do coaches and mentors play in shaping young athletes today?
Yeah. So like I said, now situations are different. But there are kids that their coaches, that's their role model. That's their father figure. I'll just straight up say that. So they're going to look to him or her for advice, and not even just on the field, outside of the field. And what I tell my coaches, and I see it a lot, which I'm happy for, I have young coaches too. You're not there to be the athlete's friend, right? And that sounds like terrible. You can be friendly, but you are there to be their coach. You were there to mentor them, to be there for, not sit and talk about all the drama from last Friday night, right? So the coaches do play a significant role in showing that they care and that they want to be there. I have coaches going to graduation. I have coaches going to other sporting events for their student athletes. So that's a big part. And the kids see that and realize that, and they feel like they can appreciate that coach and helping in regards to that mentorship.
And for you, after playing sports, what's one lesson that sticks with people long after they stop playing?
The support factor, I think that's probably the lesson, and the hard work. Those two I always go back to. My work ethic and showing up early. I'll tie those two together. I'm always the first one to show up. I'm always the last one to leave, right? What does that mean? I'm always the first one to show up. I'd ask coach, hey, do you need any help setting up? Last one to leave. Hey, coach, do you need any help taking stuff down? That's a sporting event. You're the first one to show up and set up. You're the last one to tear down. Like, you're the last one there. And then, like, I brought up the support system. Like, I don't just go to the home events. That's a part of the job. You need to be at the home event. I'm going to a track meet today up at Shippensburg. I'm not doing anything but supporting. I was doing that in high school. I'm still doing that to this day. So those two, the hard work, showing up early, leaving last, and the support. Like, being there, those skills are what I've taken from my time in high school to now.
Nice. And what do you think actually goes into running a successful high school athletic environment?
Well, what actually runs a good one, a successful one, is obviously everything. You need to have everything set up, and everything needs to be there. Scoreboard, the electric is a big one. That needs to be there, right? That's just the logistics side with that stuff. Referees need to be there. The teams need to be there. I say that, and people are like, well, of course they need to be there. There have been times where I am 30 minutes late to starting a game because a team didn't show up. Or we're playing a game with one official. Or we're playing in our middle school gym that's barely lit because our power went out. So that takes that to start with the athletic event. Obviously, things aren't going to go always according to plan. With athletics, you got to think on your feet. So talk about power going out, right? We play our middle school and high school volleyball games in their high school gym. That gym was pitch black. Somehow in our middle school gym, it was, I don't know if a backup generator, I don't know what happened, but we had some lighting and we played it in there with the old flipboard. The old school, like blue and red scoreboard that you would flip. They still use those at tournaments. Thinking on your feet is something when it comes to wanting a successful event.
What are some responsibilities that people never think about?
Oh yeah, that one. And I might answer this one. I might answer next question. Just the thought of, yes, there's a lot of emails that are coming through and all, right? There are emails I didn't think I'd be needing to send or needing to get. There is a lot when it comes to this job that people don't think. Eligibility was a big one for me, as in how that works, how you go about doing that and all. But I don't know. I think with the sporting event, I'll just leave it at what I said earlier.
What are the biggest challenges high school athletics face today?
All right, we'll go off of Fairfield.
All right.
Numbers. I'm graduating 69 kids this year in my senior class, right? That's a low number, right? Over at Bermudian, where I graduated, it was the year after COVID, right? It was 100 and, I'm going to say 120, 130 kids, right? So just a little under double that number. We discussed on how you as a person, QB1, doesn't show up all summer long expecting he's going to play. Unfortunately, that is sometimes the case at Fairfield because I'm only putting 11 kids out on our soccer team. If you guys don't know, 11 people need to be on the field for a soccer game. I had 7 girls on my basketball team. 7 girls, right? We finished the game with 4 girls, right? Which you are allowed to do. Rule actually states you're allowed to finish a game with 1 girl or 1 kid on the court at the ref's discretion. Still don't understand that one. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is the numbers, which that issue is also what affects culture, your team culture, because I can go in and be like, why do I have to be here? What are they going to, I'm going to play anyways, right? And maybe I'm being too blunt, but like, it's honestly, that's just how it is, right? Because you don't have the numbers, everyone's going to play. It's just how it is. So, and right now with our numbers for field hockey is looking rough. So previous years, I'll go back with middle school soccer. We were a co-ed team for years because we didn't have the numbers to have a boys middle school team and a girls middle school. Well, now we do. Next year, they're having issues where there might not be a middle school girls team. The numbers. I'm living through it right now. It's the numbers.
So you mentioned culture before, but what do you think separates strong sports cultures from average ones in high school athletics?
So the good programs, when we're talking about team culture, success, they don't stop practicing. They don't stop the open gyms, okay? Now, I'm not saying you need to go all year round, right? You don't need to go all year round. I have a buddy up at Bucknell who's throwing the disc, right? He did indoor track, he did outdoor track, he lifted all year round. Obviously, you take a break. During the fall, he went and played golf, right? That's what he did, golf. I'm not saying anything against golf. He took a break. The good programs, they have good strength and conditioning programs. They have coaches that are going to be there, able to be there, working 3-4 days a week with the kids during open gyms. They have the facilities. They have the equipment, right? These are your big schools that have all the money for that. They have the numbers. They have all of these things. They have the camps, right? All of those things. The average program, the things that they can't help, having the numbers, having the equipment that these bigger schools have, having the upgraded facilities that these big ones have. I'm not saying they can't, but in a small school, you're not going to get a whole nother gym when you barely have the numbers as is. But things you can help, showing up, having the open gyms, putting the work in. We talked about hard work earlier. That's what you need. If you don't have that, that is what makes you from a good, successful program to an average program, if you're not having the kids put the work in.
Does that go the same for coaches as well?
I haven't seen it on my end where I haven't had coaches put the time and effort in. Because you also got to remember, at the high school level, coaching cannot be your only job. It's just impossible, right? You're not making enough to live, to be financially stable off of coaching. You don't coach to get paid. That's not the reason you coach. That's not the reason that I wear this. The reason we do this is for the kids, right? And that sounds so cliche, right? And I remember being in class and my teacher saying, "Oh, I do this for you." I laughed every time. I swear, I laughed because I'm like, I don't know. You do this for the check, right? And maybe that was just me being a rebellious high school student. I grew a connection with the kids, and I truly did realize I had to talk with the principal at Fairfield, and I'm like, I get it now. I truly understand what it means when people say we do it for the kids, right? So getting back to it, the coaches I see, like my coaches at least, they're putting the time in. They're in there with their open gyms. They're in there doing everything they possibly can at Fairfield. It's hard because sometimes you're only getting 2 kids to show up for open gyms. You're only getting 3 kids, and they're communicating it. Like, they're doing everything. Our boys basketball team, our coach, they do summer league up here at New Oxford area high school, right? Well, there'd be times they're only getting 4 kids. And we would ask another school if we could borrow a kid. Like, from my experience, the coaches I see, they're putting the time and effort in. They are doing everything they can to give it their all, driving an hour away to make it successful for the kids.
I do want to touch on 2 questions before we head out. Talking about careers, what opportunities exist with high school athletics outside of being athletes?
Like I mentioned, I was helping a little bit out when I was in high school. Filming was another one. I was helping film for our team, our boys basketball team. I was helping set the chairs up for basketball games. Right. So just getting involved, go to your athletic director and ask, "Hey, can I help?" Right. Because I was thankful this past spring. And this is where it goes back where like the kids are great. I had kids coming up to me asking, "Can I help you at the middle school track meet?" Right. They're coming up asking if they could help. I had a kid helping out at throws. I had a kid helping out at long jump. I had a kid up in the press box doing the scoring for the track meet. And I had another 2 announcing first call, second call, third call. Them helping out and wanting to help, right? No one's going to say no. Like, if someone in athletics, they're not going to say no, right? And if they do, then, I mean, that's on them. Because we do need help at times. And I believe getting high school students to help at middle school events, giving back to the program. We always talk about giving back. That's a perfect way to give back, right? But just connect with schools around you. Like, if you want to get into ticket sales, good way to start. Start selling tickets at sporting events, right? It's not that hard. Like, start doing that. Run a scoreboard. Run concessions, right? Game help. Like, schools are looking for help. There are times where there's 4 or 5 events on one night. One athletic director is not going to be able to do that. They need help, right? So, like, talk to your athletic director, talk to other schools, right? Reach out. I get it. You don't want to be that annoying person. I had to do that the one summer. I had to keep constantly messaging to see if this athletic director needed help, right? And he did. And it turned into, I went from an interview for a class to now co-athletic director. Be persistent.
Definitely. And you touched on a little bit for someone watching this episode right now that wants to work in high school athletics someday. What's the very first step they should take?
Well, I'd ask them what exactly they want to do. If they want to be a high school athletic director, right? The way I did this, I went straight to the athletic director portion, right? I have no coaching experience, none at all. If you want to coach and get some coaching experience under your belt, go for it. If there's an assistant position, go for that, right? If you held over my head, or if you put 2 plates in front of me, one said head track coach, head wrestling coach, and one said assistant athletic director, I would have gone to the assistant athletic director, right? Mind you, you can do both. And I'm not saying you have to, because it's a lot, but gets back to reaching out to schools, right? And you building that connection. So here's the thing. You reach out to the schools, ask them to help out, build those connections. Right now, the connections I've built, I've gained 2 interviews over at 2 different schools because of the connections I've built at Fairfield, right? It's how it is. So reaching out, seeing what your options are, right? And hey, maybe those aren't options, right? Maybe those aren't options. What I did was, because I wanted to be at Fairfield so badly, I got my substitute teaching cert. That was not a plan at all. But become a substitute teacher, help out with game help, right? Because you're already there. Or help coach. So there's different paths you can go, different ways you can go about it. You just got to do what you want to do, right? Would I eventually want to coach if all else falls through? I don't have an assistant position or I'm not an athletic director. Yeah, I'd want to coach. I catch myself coaching right now. Like there'd be times I'll leave the office. I'll just go out to the track and I'll just coach. I'll help with distance. I'll help with hurdle work. Like I just catch myself coaching. I'll go to the wrestling room. I'm not there all the time. It's just part of me would not mind doing that. Right. So it just depends on your option, how you want to go about it. There's different routes, right? Not too many. I don't think too many athletic directors don't have coaching experience. I'm pretty sure some of them do. Right. So, but mind you, that's just me talking. Maybe there are some out there that went from assistant to the athletic director without any coaching experience. So it's a hit or miss. Most schools probably do look for coaching experience. So, and you don't have to be the head coach. Go be the assistant coach or be the head middle school coach.
Well, that wraps up all the questions I have. Jacob, appreciate you coming on. And if you enjoy this episode, please make sure to share with someone who loves sports and who wants to work in sports, especially in high school athletics, we're doing this episode. And subscribe for future episodes, as we're doing here for a couple series of episodes here for us to see how everyone loves it. And we'll see you in the next episode of Careers Behind the Game.